Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And today I'm excited to bring back Sarah from the Final Girls podcast. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me again. This is one of my favorite shows to come on, so
You're
I'm
very kind.
really
Thank you.
excited for this.
No, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Is this the first time that you've seen this one?
It
Or had
sure
you?
is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts then. We're going to be talking about Jeepers Creepers Reborn from 2022. I had seen this movie once, probably about a year ago. I'd never seen it a year ago. After my disappointment with the last one, I just kind of put this one off and finally watched it for the first time about a year ago. And then I went back and watched it again a couple of days ago to get ready for this. This is interesting. This franchise took such a turn.
It sure did.
It got crazy. But yeah, before we get started, though, go ahead and take a minute to promote your channel and anything you guys might have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are Final Girls, the podcast. I am one half. Kelly is my co-host, and she is a little under the weather right now. She wishes she could be. I know she wishes she could be here because she has a lot to say about this one. So, but I know I can probably read her mind on a lot of this. So I'll try to channel her the best I can. But we are a podcast that focuses on the final girl characters in the horror genre. We have a very broad definition of what a final girl is. I think, a lot of people like to push back on the kinds of final girls we cover, but we have such a blast talking about just really badass women, fighting the villain against overwhelming odds and what we learn from them and what they represent and, whenever they were made and what they represent now. So that's kind of our gig. And we release episodes every Wednesday. We have a Patreon and Final Girls, the podcast. You can find us on our website, final-girls.com, but I know we'll probably get into all that at the end too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely go check it out. Join the Patreon. I'm lucky enough to be one of the Patreons, and there's some great content on there. So definitely check it out. What are you, any episodes that you have coming up that you can give us a spoiler, like what's coming?
Yeah. So when this episode drops, when this episode here drops, it's going to be the same day that our Elizabeth Sparkle Sue from The Substance drops.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And just as a little preview, we have, we're going to be doing, we already recorded it, but we're going to be dropping Liz from Shaun of the Dead, which was a really fun episode to record.
Yeah.
And then we have a really fun one, another one that was my choice, a more modern one, and that's Pearl from Pearl, who's the final girl, but also the villain, which is a fun kind of character that we don't always talk about. So it's going to be fun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Those all sound like fun. So yeah, I'm definitely, definitely curious to check those out. Yeah, Pearl. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that one because I feel like that movie's got. I don't hear a lot of middle of the road on that movie. People either absolutely love it or they can't stand it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I love it. So I love that trilogy, and I think it's my favorite of all three. And that's what I usually hear people say, is that it's the best of all three.
Okay.
But yeah, I love that movie. I love the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a good trilogy. I think X is probably my favorite, just because it fits more of that slasher vibe that I like so much. But they're all so different too. Each one of those movies, while they go together, they're so different. Such a different tone, I feel like, in all three of them. So
very different tone, but connected with really interesting threads, I think. Yeah. And then Mia Goth is fantastic. So
yeah, very cool. So yeah, definitely go check it out. And we will get started talking about Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Tagline for the film is "Evil's back for more." Brief synopsis for this one: forced to travel to a horror festival with her boyfriend, a young woman begins experiencing premonitions associated with the urban myth of the creeper. She believes that something supernatural has been summoned and that she is at the center of all of it. Film was released September 19th of 2022. Normally, I would say the director. I've left it out on this franchise for other reasons. This time, I don't know if I can say this. Timo Varensola, maybe. I'm not sure. Do you know how to say that?
I don't.
Okay. We're just going to go with that then.
Works for me.
Written by Jake Seal and Sean Michael Argo. Produced by Jake Seal and Michael Ohoven. Cinematography by Simon Rowling. Music by Ian Livingstone. Distributed by Fathom Events. Runtime of 88 minutes. A budget of $2 million and box office $6.1 million. So didn't do great. Name a few members of the cast real quick. Sidney Craven, Imran Adams, Pete Brook, Ocean Navarro, Jerome Benjamin, and Dee Wallace makes an appearance as well. We'll stop there as always. And Sarah, give me your thoughts on the cast and the characters for this one.
I liked the two leads. They didn't have the most chemistry, but I thought they were fun to watch.
Yeah.
And the rest of them kind of didn't really make a mark. I thought the creeper was really fun in this one, though. I wish we had seen a little bit more of him. But
Okay.
I do like that there was so many callbacks to the first one that 2 and 3 did not have.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the cast and crew, the cast and crew was it was fine. It was fine. What about you?
No, I think I agree with you. One of my I thought the actors did fine, and especially the two leads. I thought they did a good job. I don't think anybody necessarily was bad as far as their performance, but the lack of chemistry really bothered me. Because it just wasn't there. And we talked about one of the best things, I don't mean to keep going back to it, but one of the best things about the first film was the brother-sister dynamic, and how well those two played together, and you believed that they were really brother and sister.
Yep.
And then I feel like each one of the films after that, we lost some of that chemistry along the way, just between different characters. It wasn't there as much in 2. Certainly wasn't there in 3. The performances aren't even great in 3. So this one, I was glad that the performances were, I felt like a step up, but I just didn't buy the relationship. I didn't buy the chemistry. And then, like you said, the rest of the characters that make their appearance, they're all fine, but there's just nothing really that stands out or is amazing, about any of it, in my opinion. It's just kind of all there.
Yeah. The one character I think that actually I would say that there's 2 characters that were kind of comically bad. They weren't main characters, but they were very noticeable for just kind of the campiness of the acting, and not in like an intentional way. But it was the woman at the shop. She was kind of this occult hoodoo woman, and with all kinds of random, there was all kinds of I know we'll get into it, but all kinds of random occult stuff that didn't make sense together. And then the woman who was cosplaying Pam from True Blood, I was like, oh, this is rough.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, a lot of that was rough. And there are some things, like you said, that we'll get into in a little bit when we start walking through the plot that I just struggled with. I feel like this movie, I don't know. I feel like it may have been rushed. I'm not 100% sure, but just some things just didn't quite go together, in my opinion. But what about the cinematography, the score, the story? Any of that you thought stood out or was good, or stood out as being bad?
There's 3 things that come to mind.
Okay.
First is the dialogue was terrible, and that feels rushed because I feel like so as a writer, I have taken so many classes on writing dialogue. And the thing about the dialogue in this is it's so, it's like the first draft. It's when you're getting your thought out on the page, and you're like, so-and-so says this. And it's like, they explain things, and there's no like reading between the lines. It's literally just, they are just saying the actual thing that they mean to say, which is so boring. And it's also like kind of cringy. So the dialogue is just, it's like the first draft. No one went in and tweaked it. So the second thing was, the green screen.
I know.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
And then the third was the festival thing. I actually thought that was really cool. A cool concept. Again, it's like it's kind of like a homage to, instead of making it on Halloween, I know we'll talk about it too, but instead of making this happen on Halloween, making it in a horror cosplay convention so that the villain can actually show up, but then she ruins it and says something like, what if there's a psycho here? So so again, more dialogue that almost offended me. So
Yeah, I get that. No, it's so funny because I agree with you, and I think that was a great way to put it. I hadn't thought of it like that, but it really does feel like it was a first draft, and then nobody just went back and fixed anything. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's a great way to put it, I think. And yeah, the cinematography. This movie does not look good. It really, really doesn't. The green screen is bad. There's almost, I guess maybe in the beginning it's okay, but the further you get into the movie, the worse it gets.
Yes,
It just
yeah.
doesn't look good at all.
The final scene.
Yeah, so bad. So
It's funny
bad.
because my husband just got home and I was telling him we were talking about this one. He's like, I've never seen that one. So I was like, okay, you need to hold on. And I put on the last scene and I was like, look at this green screen. And he was like, okay, I'm feeling this. I was like, guess what year this came out? And he was like, like 2000. I was like, 2022.
Yeah, yeah,
And
just a
he was
few
like,
years ago. I know. I really, yeah, I just have so many questions about what they were trying to do here. I mean, you can tell that it was made very cheaply, but I just don't feel like I don't feel like there's a lot of heart in this movie. There's just, they didn't, I don't feel like anybody really cared about what they were doing.
yeah.
Yeah, and even though, like I said, I don't think the performances were bad, I also don't think anybody just stood out as being amazing. And I just really, I was watching this and I'm like, this is so disappointing to me because I love the first movie. I really enjoy the second movie. Won't talk about third one again right now, but then this one, it just feels like everything just nobody cared anymore.
Mhm.
And so part of me is like, why did we even do this? Like, what
Yeah.
were we
Why even
trying?
bother? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Now, I do like what you said. I agree. I think the festival wasn't bad, and it's a good idea. There's some potential there. I feel like they lost some of that potential because, I mean, somewhat like you said, just things got missed. There's
Mhm.
one little thing that happens very late in the film, and we'll get to it, and then it just goes away and never gets talked about again. And I'm like, there's potential for some decent things here, but again, nobody cared. They
Mhm.
just threw something together and this was it. And it's just so disappointing with the way this franchise started off. But yeah, so I agree with you there. As far as production notes, don't have a lot for this one. I tried to find some things. I just couldn't find much that I thought was interesting at all. This is considered a reboot of the franchise. About the most interesting thing I found as far as anything behind the scenes on this film is um, this film caused a lawsuit by Myriad Pictures because they had claimed ownership of the rights of the franchise. Um, and they claimed that they had no idea that this movie was ever even being made. Myriad had produced parts 2 and 3, but then they filed fraud charges, lawsuit charges against Film Holdings for producing and selling the distribution rights to Screen Media Films. Um, I have no idea how that even happened. I mean, it kind of blows my mind that could have even been a thing.
Seriously.
Yeah, like how does a company
What's
do that?
Yeah, what is this? Such a mess. Well, the
Yeah,
other thing is like you hear about it's funny because you were like, why was this even made? And I can't even fathom it either because some of these studios make movies because they know they're going to be a loss and they can write
right.
it off.
Yeah,
But this was what, $2 million? I mean, I don't know. It's a mess. It's all a mess.
yeah. Well, it really is. And then when I see something like that, where this Myriad Pictures, if they had the rights and this other company did all this somehow in secret, where they make this movie and send sell the distribution rights, that would explain why things were rushed and done so cheap. I
That's
mean,
true.
I guess
That's
they were
true.
just trying to cash in maybe on the popularity of the beginning of this franchise and try to get something out real quick and make a little money and just, did it in a deceitful way. And it just, I don't know. I can't imagine. Couldn't find any results as far as what happened on the lawsuit, but if they spent $2 million to make it and they only made 6, I wonder what they had to pay in the lawsuit. They probably lost money
Yeah.
through all of this. Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
yeah, huge mess. But we'll get into the plot and start walking through this a little bit so we can discuss some of the things that we may have liked or disliked. Opening of the film, we kind of get a throwback to the original because we get this elderly couple, including Dee Wallace, who's driving and they're playing the license plate game. We get to see an old truck tailgating them, and it's got the "Be Eating You" tag on it. Let me stop though and go ahead and ask your thoughts on this truck compared to what we know from the first two films. I guess the first and the third.
Yeah, it lost all of the magic
I completely
of
agree.
the first two and the
Yeah.
third. But the first two, the first one especially, I did like this was a real callback to the original that 2 and 3
Sure.
just didn't have.
Yeah.
But it was, if they had gone through with the real truck, maybe that would have been too much more of, ripping. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Probably.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
didn't, it lost all the magic.
Right. No, I completely agree. And again, knowing about this lawsuit and how this was done, I think that explains a lot in this movie.
Mhm.
And I agree here completely. I like the idea. I like this beginning and giving us the throwback with the couple driving and again them playing the game and we see the tag, but then the truck just didn't have that same feeling or like you said, the magic to it at all. And we even go as far as they see the creeper, throwing the body down the pipe, and they go back and look as well after they get ran off the road. I mean, very similar to the
Yeah.
original film.
Yeah.
Couple of things that were different. I mean, they did see the creeper changing the license plate at one point, which I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, that
Mhm.
wasn't in there before, but that's okay. And then I guess we find out later then through some things on the radio that something ended up happening to this couple. But yeah, the opening is okay. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a terrible opening. It just didn't have that same feel. I appreciated the throwback to the original film, but it just immediately didn't feel the same at all with the truck being
Mhm.
different. And when the first shot of the truck, when we see uh, the creeper pulling up behind them, I don't know if you noticed, but it's so obvious that whoever's driving the truck was not even in costume.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. It was all, like,
now,
shaded. Yeah.
yeah, but it looked like just a normal guy in a ball cap driving the
Mhm.
truck when they showed the front view. Now later they showed a side view, and there it's the creeper. But I'm like, yeah, they just didn't put a lot of effort into cleaning this up at all. But did you enjoy the opening, or did the different truck and things just kind of make it fall flat for you?
I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
And that was the thing, like, I thought, like you said, it gets kind of, like, schlockier the longer it goes. Like,
Yeah,
the beginning of this was, like, they had more chemistry, the couple, than the other couple,
completely agree.
but I don't know, it could have been a little bit more drawn out with the truck being so menacing.
Yeah,
But I did love the callback, and he does the thing that he's like, we should go back and see what's happening with the sheet, because then we
right.
could tell the cops what's really happening. And it's like, that's just a recipe for disaster. But yeah, let's do it. Let's just go all in. And they see the pit and the bodies, and I thought that
Right.
was really fun. I actually really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Like, I think they could have, we talk about the dialogue. They could have given us a little bit more there. Where are they coming from? Where's this couple coming from? Are they
Right.
coming from their grandkids' birthday party where they have a tense relationship with their son or something like that?
Right.
Give us a little, like, juicy backstory or something like
Yeah.
that. Because we get that with the first two, with the siblings in the first two.
Right.
Like, they're talking about their mom and feeling bad about her being an empty nester. And yeah, I mean, obviously I think this one wouldn't have that in there anyway, but that's what
Yeah.
would have been cool.
Yeah, I think they tried to substitute that, and I mean, Dee Wallace is such an icon. I think I think they put her in there, and they try to use her to draw in the audience and not worry about the backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the time that the first one came out, Justin Long was not a big star like he is now. So you bring in two people that people aren't as familiar with, but you give them
Hmm.
this great story. They've got this great chemistry, and it pulls you in. And
Yeah.
so here it's almost more like they're like, we've got Dee Wallace. That's all we need. We don't need
Yeah.
anything else.
That's where most of their budget went.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. From there, then we meet our primary couple, Chase and Lainey. They're traveling to Horror Hound. We find out very quickly that Chase is obsessed with the local legend of the Creeper, and we hear a little bit on the radio in their car about this old couple that had disappeared. So we know that they're talking about the couple from the beginning of the film. Of course, Chase tells Laney all about the legend that the creeper comes back every 23 years for 23 days. They even mention in there briefly that there were 3 movies made about this legend. So they're definitely trying to go their own route with this one. And we also kind of find out that Chase is planning to propose to Laney. So with the introduction here to our main characters and the talk about the legend of the creeper and just kind of again trying to acknowledge those other movies a little bit. What were your thoughts here as we started to move along? Anything?
Okay, first of all, I was like, girlfriend, why do we have a side pony? Is this a 1985? Like, what's going on here? And she had great hair. Why was this choice made? Who knows? But I think, again, there's a lot of heavy-handed, like quickly written dialogue where she's like, I'm a scientist. That went nowhere too. I mean, I would have loved for that to come back somehow, but she's a scientist. So she doesn't believe in the conspiracy theories that, what's his name? Chase does. And, and then there's this whole, you get him on the phone when she's out, puking because she's pregnant, which was so telegraphed. It was so telegraphed, but she gets out to puke on the side of the road and he calls his mom because I guess that's what you do to be like, I'm going to ask her today while she's puke. Okay. But yeah, it's all just very, it's just silly. I think there's also like, she has a friend, I guess, that's meeting them there. And he was supposed to be, like a queer, like her gay friend. But it was interesting because he clearly was not. And because he ran with his, he did all these like really tropey things to represent this gay best friend. He's talking about fashion to her. And he's like, he runs with his wrists and it's like, oh, it just squicked me out. I was like, oh, and this was our first kill. So it's just, it was kind of, again, a mess.
No, I completely agree with you. I mentioned earlier the chemistry, and I feel like that's really the first 2 things that pop out to me here is one, okay, this is our couple, but I don't get any chemistry between them whatsoever. And it just seems so with the friend, Sam is his name, she gets this call from him and they talk for a few moments. And like you said, we get the tropes and it's just not a good performance. It's kind of cringy. I mean, it's just, and again, everything feeling very rushed. And I didn't remember much about this film from seeing it once before, but as I was watching it the other day, I'm just like, I can already tell this early on, this is not going to be good. I'm not feeling a lot of hope from this right now here at this point. But Jason and Laney end up going to this gift shop that's also like this occult place. They meet the owner. She gives them some directions and basically sells them a map, but she also seems to, when she touches Laney's hand, she seems to know their futures and know what's going on with them. Laney gets her first premonition here about this time as well. And then as they leave, the owner makes a phone call talking about tree bearing fruit. We've got tree bearing fruit coming because she was able to pick up that Laney was pregnant. So again, through this scene, I've kind of felt like the same things. Like everything feels like it's being forced and rushed, and it's just not clicking for me.
Same thing. This scene frustrated me, like actually frustrated me, where I felt like it was, first of all, the occult was all mixed up. There was no actual like research done there because you have so many different traditions and things that are, some of them closed, some of them open, that are all running amok in this story, where it actually almost felt disrespectful. Like she has this hat on and she has 2 tarot cards, but then she also has a lot of like hoodoo things, and she's a woman of color, but we don't know her background. So like, and a lot of that stuff is closed practice, and it just felt really like someone who didn't know what they were talking about, didn't bother to do any research, didn't bother to ask anyone. And they were like, oh, this seems vaguely creepy. The other movies didn't have the occult thing and they didn't need it. So why are we adding this to be different? It was very like a very cheap ripoff of a Rosemary's Baby type of a
Sure.
situation,
Yeah.
and it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And again, her performance was so it felt like, I don't even want to say like a high school theater performance, because even that's disrespectful to high school theater
Yeah.
performances. It
Yeah.
was
Could be.
bad.
It was bad. I agree. And I think it, I think what you said hits it spot on. And I think it goes back even to what you were saying when we first started talking about this, because again, it feels like they just tried to grab some things and throw it in there. Like you said, the first draft, they just threw some things together and then they didn't go back and do any research and try to actually make it fit and make it work and make it make sense,
Mm-hmm.
make it good, any
Exactly.
of it. It was just throwing a bunch of things together to seem creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And since you brought it up, one of my biggest issues with this movie is the fact that they brought in that cult thing. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's needed for the creeper. Um, Somebody had original idea that they thought would work, but even at that, they don't really. It doesn't really even play out that well, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, with that because it gets mentioned here and there and hinted at a few times, and then again, we have a scene that we'll get to towards the end where you see a couple of people from this cult, but then it just goes away and never gets
Mm-hmm.
brought back up again, and so it just yeah, it's just a lot of things just thrown together, I guess, to seem creepy, but it doesn't land
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all,
It
in
doesn't
my
land, and it's kind of like offensive where other
opinion.
things don't land, where it's just kind of like, oh, that's silly. This one's like, oh, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. They end up at the hotel that they're going to. Lainey takes his pregnancy test, and right before she gets the results, and it's not like it's needed because we already know that's where it's going. I mean, it's been given away. But she gets another premonition, and then she kind of gets interrupted when these crows smash into the window. Um, Another, in my opinion, very silly, unnecessary scene. I feel like they were looking for maybe a jump scare,
Yeah.
and I don't know about other people. They didn't get it from me, but I was just like, okay, we're gonna do that now. All this other
Like
weird
womp
shit we've thrown
womp.
together, we'll do that too. Let's throw in the bird
Why
smashing
not?
against the window. Yeah, just throw in some more randomness. But yeah, that's the way it is. We then get a shot at the creeper, and so here's where I'm curious a little bit because I actually I appreciate your honesty, and I think sometimes it's good when people disagree. I did not like the look of the creeper, but you said you did. You liked the creeper in this one.
Yeah, well, okay, so with a couple caveats. The
Okay.
first is I missed his like wiry, gross gray hair. Because that's such a fun part. It's so
Right.
gross.
Yeah.
The other thing is he looks like he's wearing a shirt that has abs, but I
Yeah.
really like the gross like teeth, and I just thought it felt more true to the original. I think those are the saving graces
Okay.
of this movie, as is its close tie in that way. But
Okay.
maybe I liked it just because it seems so silly. I mean, did you notice he's wearing like a shirt that has abs on it?
Yeah, I did. I did. It
They
bothered
didn't
me
even
actually.
bother to try with
Right.
that
Yeah.
thing.
And I felt like that was kind of my. I don't know. I mean, I guess I see your point. I think the creeper is so good in the first two
Mhm.
films, so good, and then in the third one, even though it's the same actor, it's just not as good a performance, and just the way they did some things was not as well in that third film. And to go from that to this one, I don't know. I felt like we gave up. I felt like they put
Yeah.
together a cheaper costume, and again, maybe because maybe they had to make it somewhat different. I mean, they did the teeth. I agree, the teeth looked a lot more similar to what we got on the original, but I felt like this just looked cheaper. And again, I'm sure that has a lot to do with them not having the rights to do
Yeah.
what they were doing in the first place. But
I think
I
that's
don't
why I
know.
liked it. I think that's
And
why I
which would
liked
make sense. Yeah, I think for
it.
me at this point, I was just like, okay, we're going for cheap scares. We're going for things that
Mhm.
don't make sense. These characters don't have chemistry, and this is what the creeper looks like now. I mean, this is not what I liked from the first couple of movies. So yeah, I think it just there were a lot of things bothering me, and this just added to it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But there they get to Horror Hound, and we do get another kill. We get the creeper killing a guy that I mean, it's fine. It's just kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody,
Nothing
somebody else with a
remarkable.
body count, but nothing special. They start playing this star throwing game, which Lainey turns out to be really good at. They get told along the way that this was the creeper's favorite weapon. Um, she ends up cutting herself and having another premonition, and then they win this raffle that apparently they didn't even try to participate in, but to win a night at this old plantation house that's been turned into an escape room, and a crew is going to go with them. Um, we talked about the horror hound thing being, I feel like there was some hope there. I like that setting. I think that was a good idea. Again, don't think it was pulled off very well, but it was, at least I felt like there was some effort there. Um, but what were your thoughts on the premonitions that she keeps having? Because for me, it was bothering me because
Mm-hmm.
I just again didn't feel like the whole cult and this
Mm-hmm.
side of the premonition just this didn't feel like the creeper to me. It just
Yeah.
felt so different, and I didn't even know that I completely followed a lot of her premonitions.
Yeah. Me
Um,
neither.
some of the things that she was seeing happen was supposed to be like foreshadowing, but it never really happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just again it wasn't really making a lot of sense to me. And they win this raffle, and she makes the comment that she didn't even like sign up, and they won it anyway. Which that's I mean okay, that's fine. But now we're going to go to this plantation house, and it's going to be like an escape room. Again, I thought we just grabbed something else. Now we've just grabbed
Yeah.
something else different to try to bring in here with this, and
Well,
yeah,
why is it the same night? Like
yeah,
that's the weird thing. It's like, oh, we're gonna take I mean, I know it was to set up that Lainey would get there so that the creeper could take the baby or
right,
whatever. But yeah, it was like, what is like I would be so sketched out if I won that something that I didn't win. First of all, I wouldn't go, especially if it
yeah,
was that night.
right,
Like if they're like whisking me away and making me sign a waiver and like,
yeah,
okay, if I'm gonna win something that I didn't enter, give me like a voucher for, between these dates, go to this whatever, this escape
yeah,
room or whatever it was.
right,
But it was so weird. Yeah, the premonitions again were so there was one thing I really liked that didn't come through with because the other thing is this is very like satanic
right,
and I am a member of the Satanic Temple, so
right,
I am intrigued by the way that Satanism is portrayed, and also I also again like someone who really loves the occult. Sometimes I'm like really offended by the way that it's
sure,
portrayed, and sometimes I'm like really into how it's portrayed, even if it's bad. This one just felt really disrespectful too, because but there's also this part where they're walking into the Whorehound Festival, and there's a group of like Westboro Baptist
yeah,
protesters there,
right,
and that would have been cool to follow through with too. And the thing is about those kinds of people is they're really scary. Like I went to
yeah,
Satan Con in 2023, I think it was, and there were legit those types of people out in front of the convention, and they got like so sketchy that they told us to stay inside. Like that would have been a really interesting thing to follow in the
yeah,
story. Again, went nowhere. But
right,
these premonitions, it's all very Rosemary's Baby. She sees all these occultists, Satanists, whatever, like just trying to do this, blood sacrifice thing to get her, fetus. And
yeah,
it's just, yeah, it's all sketch. It's all
yeah,
so sketchy. I wanted to say one thing about the horror hound
sure,
thing though. And this actually makes a lot of sense when you talk about the legal litigious stuff that went on
right,
there. Did you notice how much other IP stuff, like what in the cease and desist, they had Beetlejuice.
yeah, I
She
saw
was
that,
dressed as Jennifer from Jennifer's Body. There was a
yes,
Tim Curry Pennywise. There was a Bill
yes,
Skarsgård Pennywise. The
yes,
main woman was dressed as Pam from True Blood. It's like
right,
when I was watching this, I was like, okay, what in the cease and desist is going on here? Because they were so blatant with it. And now when you're
Yeah.
telling me that they didn't have permission for any of this stuff, it kind
Yeah.
of makes it funnier. Like they were like, we're
No,
going
yeah,
all
that's
in. They
yeah,
can't
that's
get us for
very true.
everything.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a good point. But yeah, I think I even saw maybe a Hellraiser. I think I saw
Yeah,
Pinhead
yeah,
at
yeah.
one point. Yeah, there was all kinds of stuff going on in there. But I like what you said about the satanic part of it, because I feel like there's so many, and even I can't speak that knowledgeably about it. People seem to have so many views on Satanism that
Hmm.
have nothing to do with Satanism.
Exactly.
And so that's the frustrating part, because again, you know, a lot of my listeners know my past, and you and I've talked about it a little
Hmm.
bit. You know, I'm a former preacher. And so, of course, I was taught for years that, you know, Satanists are evil, you know,
Hmm.
terrible, terrible people, and, you know, just all these different things you hear. But had never known one, and really didn't even know what Satanism was. I just knew what I was being told.
Yeah,
And then you
same.
get, you know, different viewpoints from like a Hollywood perspective sometimes. Sure, sometimes it's better than others, but these kind of things and just all the different stuff that gets thrown out there. And it's just, it blows my mind because, and I still probably have friends and family that if they watch this, they're going to freak out when I make this statement. But for the longest time, I never knew anyone that was involved in Satanism. And so,
Hmm.
just based on my past, I had this preconceived idea of what these kinds of people would be like.
Hmm.
And then I meet someone like, you know, yourself or a few others, and I'm like, these people are so much cooler and so much nicer and kinder than the people that I went to church with. You know,
Hmm.
like what is going on here? So I wondered how something like that would bother you. So I appreciate your perspective on that, because it blows my mind what people think they know when they don't know anything.
Oh, 100%. I grew up in, the evangelical mega church environment in the early 2000s, and the same thing. And witchcraft, like all of the stuff that I find so much freedom in, that I had to really actively reclaim and unlearn some of the conditioning. Satanism is just not what people think it is. It's
Right.
about, personal autonomy and agency and respecting others for the way that they want to live their lives, and being in community. So I
Right.
think that's, sometimes it's portrayed in a really fun way. I don't know, if do you ever see that movie Dark Match? It's a Shudder movie.
With Chris Jericho.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
did see that. Yeah.
Yes. See, that was a really fun portrayal of
Right.
Satanism, where it was like, and it felt a little bit more authentic because they had all, the earth, air, fire, and water.
Right.
It felt like it was more respectful of what Satanists are about, but also
Right.
what people think that we're about, and
Yeah.
just kind of making fun of it, like, oh, you guys think that we do this? Well, here's a funny movie where it's not what we do at all, but here's a
Right.
funny movie of just playing to that fear.
Sure.
This movie did not do that, and to an extent, Rosemary's Baby, I found so many parallels here. Like they were trying to do the Rosemary's Baby thing,
Oh yeah,
and
I agree.
Rosemary's Baby does the same kind of thing, and that was back in the late 60s, that contributed to
Mhm.
satanic panic. So yeah, the Satanism in this movie and the occult treatment really did bother me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I can 100% see that, and it blows my mind because before you know, years ago in my life, I wouldn't have even recognized it. But yeah, it just that kind of stuff fascinates me sometimes now. Just again, like I said, what the people that know the least are the ones that comment the most, and it just blows my mind that that's the way. But I feel like that's the case with so many things in the world nowadays. That's a whole other
yep.
topic. But anyway,
Mic
we then
drop.
yeah. So we then get the creeper who uses his truck to crash into this tower to knock out the internet, which also seems so odd to me that it didn't knock out all the other power, just the
I
internet.
know. Just the internet, just the Wi-Fi was down.
Yeah, that also blew my mind. And here's where I feel like we talked about the green screen and just the cinematography in general. Up until this point, it's been okay. Here's where it really starts to go bad, because now they're going to travel through this graveyard to get to this plantation house. And we see the creeper is watching them. He kills the cameraman. Decent kill there, if I remember correctly. Still nothing too great, but decent. And then right as Chase starts to propose, the creeper, swoops down and ends up taking Laney. And yeah, we'll stop there for a second, because here's where I felt like things really started to, not that this had been any good prior to, but here's where we really start to go off the limbs with the way the film looks. Because now not only are things not working and things aren't making sense and things don't seem real, now it just looks fake. Now it just looks terrible on top of that. And so what's supposed to be getting to the bigger, more intense, climactic moments just looks so bad.
Yeah.
It just looks so bad. Even the graveyard scene. I like graveyard scenes in movies, and this looks terrible.
Oh, it's all fake props
Yeah.
and like fake grass. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's just when you think it's going to get sillier and you can't get any sillier than that, it takes it
Finds
up
a way.
like 10 more notches. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, you wait, it can get sillier.
Yeah.
Like with the big fake moon in the
Yes.
background. And oh my God, it was.
And with it being that bad, I mean, part of me wonders. I guess I'm a little bit torn because they didn't have the budget and didn't even have the rights. But for it to be this bad, is this intentional? Like, are we doing this on purpose? You think maybe because they know this is what it is, and let's
That's
just
a
make
really
this as
good
silly as
question.
possible? I mean, are they going for so bad it's good? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
That's what
If
I
they were
thought
shooting
too.
for, like, are we trying to get
Yeah.
to this is so bad it's good? Because that doesn't work. Like, it didn't work in this
Yeah.
movie, but maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
It makes me think of, when you go to like concerts and
Mhm.
they have the merch table at the concerts, but then there's always these people outside selling you the stuff that fell off the back of the truck, or like they're
Right.
like hastily screen printed at someone's cousin's,
Yes.
garage or something. And they're all unlicensed and they're, $10 and they make it one washed through the washing
Right.
machine. Kind of makes
Yeah.
me think of that. This is the movie equivalent of that. Cause they're just like, they can't be making money on it. I mean, clearly they aren't. So what's the point
Yeah.
here? Just to be, I don't know, see what
No,
they can
that's
get away with.
it's so funny when you were saying that, because I was thinking of, like, trying to increase my horror t-shirt collection. I didn't have a lot at one point, so I'm trying to really find some cool ones. And so I look at like Fright Rags and Terror Threads and stuff like that, and I see these really cool shirts, and then I'll go in, and I won't name names, but go in some of these really big famous department stores and retail stores, and I go in there and I'm like, really? Like, I mean, I see people buy that one for $10 and wear it, and that looks so bad compared to these things that I'm seeing on these other websites, and I'm like, yeah, that's what this movie is.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
a cheap
It's
ripoff.
the cheap $10 t-shirt that you can get at the big retail chain.
Yeah, or in the parking lot of a concert.
Yeah, that's so funny. Lainey wakes up tied to a table. The creeper stabs her there in the stomach. Not enough to kill her, but just stabs her. We get a group. Here's the scene that I keep referencing, because then we get a shot of a small group of these cultists outside, saying they are all yours, and then they're gone. We don't see them anymore for the rest of the film.
Yeah, I had
I'm
the
like,
same
what
note.
happened? Yeah, I'm like, where did this group go? Because you would think as we get to the end of this film, and even, I'm going to jump ahead for just a second, and we can come back. At the end, it's the crows that end up doing something with the creeper's body. It's not even this cult. Like, they don't come back at all. It just, I'm like, where did this go? Like, we just forgot that we threw this in the movie, I guess. I don't know where this plot went. So
Yeah, I had the
yeah.
same exact note there. I was like, wait a minute, where was the Pam cosplayer? She
Yeah.
made such an impression on me. I was like, that was it.
Yeah,
They
this
didn't meet
whole,
their fate or anything,
I know
like.
nothing happens, and we kept hinting at them so much throughout the film. Back from the store that they went in, where they got the map, and we talked about that lady. This has been hinted at the entire time, not very well, but it's still been hinted at the entire time, and then it's just forgotten.
Yep, just
So we
gone.
can do some more of this ridiculous green screen bullshit. But like, okay, that's fine. We might as well at this point.
Might as well throw it all in.
And then the group is that's got inside there. They're arguing a little bit, and the one guy, Stu, ends up getting so mad that he fires his gun for some reason, which gets the creeper's attention. And then we get kind of a chase through the house a little bit, where the creeper's chasing this group around. They finally find Sam's body from where the creeper had attacked and killed him earlier in the film, Lainey's friend. Stu shoots the creeper. Doesn't really have the effect. We get one scene that I couldn't decide if I liked it or not. There's a scene there where the creeper's just getting shot in the hand, basically, but then he
Yeah.
removes his hand
Yeah.
and he like basically takes Sam's hand and replaces it. I didn't mind that scene. That was the
Yeah,
one
wasn't
scene
bad.
that I'm like, okay, that didn't look too bad. Like we
Yeah.
finally got
The one.
something that was okay in this.
The needle in the haystack.
Yeah, that was it. We just found it. um, Laney's able to get free. We do get some more chases. Laney finds the group, and I really at this point I don't remember what I said the runtime for this film. 88 minutes, so it's less than an hour and a half long. And to me, it felt
Mercifully.
longer. Yeah, because it felt longer than that to me, especially here. All of the chasing that's going on through the house. I know this is supposed to probably be the big moments, but I just felt like it was dragging. We got to this point where I'm like, well, please kill these people. Like it's time. I don't
Put
care
us
about
all out of our misery.
I don't care about any of these people. So can the creeper just start wiping people out so we can get this finished off? And eventually he does. He gets the one girl and we see him eating her brain. I think her name was Carrie. He ends up killing her. Again, Laney gets another premonition of this odd ritual where this group is wanting her baby, but again, it never plays out. Like we don't get any more of the group. So that's about the only thing we get there. We see this shrine, and this is where they kind of start to figure out that there is this cult, and this cult has been feeding the creeper. Basically, they're luring people there and feeding the creeper. And again, I just don't think it works. The creeper's scarier when he's doing it on his own, in my opinion, rather than trying to pull things off this way. We do see a picture of the old couple, Dee Wallace and that gentleman from the late that's there on the shrine. So we see that also. The creeper has a fight with this Stu guy before we end up getting into the finale where Laney's able to lure the creeper outside. And then in a horrible looking scene, her boyfriend and Stu throw this.
That's the one I showed my husband, that exact scene.
Yeah, they're able to impale the creeper with this weather vane.
That they throw, and it like does this weird like CGI like jog. Like it doesn't even go straight down. It does it like glitches just to make it that cherry on top.
Yeah, so bad. And then again, as the shot continues to look terrible, as Stu and Chase are up there on the roof, and the crows end up knocking Stu off, and so he dies that way. Before Chase is able to take off back through, and Laney gets into him, there in the house. And then the crows seem to, I guess they consume the creeper. I don't know. Finally, the police arrive. And then when Laney's in the police car, her eyes blacken. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
So yeah, it almost looks like something is happening with her, because once they put her in the back, once they put her in the back of the car, her eyes go completely black. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, does that mean he got her after all? Because I don't know how, with everything that just took place. I mean, I never even got hinted that might be what happened, but it almost seems like that's what they were looking for. And again, I felt like it was just one more extra thing that got thrown in there, but really didn't mean anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't even notice it. I think I was so glad it was over.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And I don't remember it the first time I saw it, but I noticed it here. And then we find out that the creeper is rejuvenating, and he gives off this big scream, which is another thing they seem to add in this film that we haven't talked about that I'll mention now, because it happens 2 or 3 times in this film where the creeper just screams, and it seems to render everybody helpless there for a little bit. Something else that they brought in that I don't recall ever being a part. I mean, I remember the creeper kind of screaming at times, but it didn't render anyone helpless. Like everybody didn't hit the floor, So just something else silly. Did you have any thoughts there? Like, what was this scream? What was this all about? Okay.
I didn't have any thoughts. It's just so random. And the other thing is he didn't have all of his cool gadgets. I mean, she had the little bone cross things,
those star things. The
star. But he had all those cool like daggers and knives that he would throw, and like the other ones had all the harpoons, even though it's just like there was none of that. That's just a scream, apparently.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because they mentioned that back at, again, it's something that gets hinted at, but then we don't ever get to see it. Back at Horror Hound, when she's throwing those stars, that's what the worker there tells her is this is the creeper's favorite weapon, but we don't ever see him use it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it just doesn't. So many things about this film. Again, I just go back to made very cheaply, rushed,
Mhm.
too many things thrown into one. It was there's some, and I don't know what it's called. Maybe you can help me, or maybe you've never heard of it. Maybe it's an Oklahoma thing, but there's some meal that people prepare around here where basically they just take whatever they've got left, whatever they can find, and they
Oh,
just throw it in
yeah.
a pot and cook it all together.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I almost feel like that's this movie. They just threw a whole bunch of
Yeah.
shit in the pot and cooked it up to see what people think, and it's not good.
Yeah, yeah,
Not good.
yeah,
I don't want any
yeah.
more.
The other thing that does yeah, I don't need seconds of that. The other thing that doesn't it kind of like flatlines is that blonde girl's crush on Chase. Like I was assuming she gets like really thirsty for him, and it's
Right.
so not subtle. Like
Right.
I'm not a jealous person at all, and if I saw someone doing that to my husband, I'd be like I I would say something, and she doesn't
Sure.
say anything, which is fine. Whatever. Clearly, she says something to Chase later. So
Yeah.
clearly, this girl getting all thirsty for him served a purpose for them to kind of like have a conversation about the state of their relationship, and then that's when Chase decides to
Decides to propose. Yeah.
propose.
Yeah.
Like what? So, but that girl's crush, she's only like that for a couple minutes, and then
Right.
that happened. Then apparently it just goes away, which
Yeah.
that kind of would have been fun to see play out a little bit more. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. There were things in this movie that could have given it something if they would have just picked something and went with it. But they just had so many directions and never went any of those directions.
Mhm.
And so instead they just went to a green screen. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much wraps up Jeepers Reborn. Anything else you want to say about it, or thoughts before we try to rank this one?
I guess the only thing I would say that I really enjoyed about it was that it did do all those callbacks. I mentioned it a few times, but it had the
Sure.
song.
Right.
It played the song, and she says something about his peepers when oh yeah, how do you like these peepers, bitch? Which,
Yeah.
Kelly and I always talk about, we love when the final girl has a good like final line when she's battling. It can't be something, it could be cheesy, but it has to be like, it can't be so random and out there that it like throws you off. But this
Yeah.
was so cheesy. How do you like those peepers, bitch? Because
Yeah.
she takes the stars and shoves them into his eyes and then pulls them
Right.
out. So I love that. I love that because it's the callback to the first one.
Sure.
And then the peepers. And now that you say her eyes go black, I wonder if that is also kind of an homage
Could
to
be.
the peeper thing. The other
Right.
thing is the cops. So maybe this was a little bit of an homage, where the cops in the first one were so bad. They were so inept. And,
Yeah.
we've talked about that. They have to
Right.
be to give
Yeah.
these stories kind of their hero and heroine type of a thing.
Yeah.
But these cops, like, it's funny because there's the one part where Chase is like, we have to call 911, and then they call, and the operator is asking them like if they're stoned or
Yeah.
something, like, are you high, like what are you smoking? And
Right.
then Chase goes to the other guy that's I guess, is it Stu? I can't remember who it is, but he says something like, we need to call 911. They're just ignoring us. We need someone. They're not just going to ignore us, are they? And
Right.
the other guy was like, oh, you sweet summer child. And I'm like, do people actually say that? I feel like people say that as a joke, ironically,
Right.
but this guy said it unironically.
Real,
So,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
again, another homage to the cops and
Right.
and everything. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just, it's a, as they say in German, a Klusterfugen, as we say in English, a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Just a
It
mess.
really is. Because, when you were talking about that, one of the thoughts I had there, because we talked about how this cult seemed to disappear.
Mhm.
One of the tropes that you see in a lot of horror movies is when someone goes to call the cops and they think they're talking to the police and they end up talking to somebody
Yeah.
else. They could have done that with this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you're
he could
right.
have ended up talking to this cult group just to give them something more. But
Yeah.
we didn't get that either. They were just gone. So yeah, just so many things here. I feel like we started to go down so many paths and then we just kept backing up and doing something else. And
Yeah.
it really, really disappoints me and hurts this film
It
so much.
hurts.
So Yeah. On this one, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it, Sarah?
I'm going to give it a 2 just because some of it's so silly that I got to be, a little generous with it. And it gives us something to talk about,
Yeah,
for an hour. So I'm going to give it
absolutely.
a 2.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm shocked that we were able to talk about this one for as long as we were, but it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it
Yeah.
really has
Yeah.
been fun to talk about it. I'm not going to give it quite as much credit as you are, though. This is the lowest. Since I've been doing this YouTube channel, this is the lowest that I have ever ranked a movie, but I'm going to give this a 1 out of 10.
Oh,
I just,
wow. It's a
yeah,
historic moment.
it is. I do not like this movie at all. And even the the occasional throwbacks we get here and there that are fun just don't save it because there's
They
just
don't
too
save
many
it.
other things that frustrate me about it. So yeah, this one is a 1 out of 10 for me. I am going to Sarah's going to be back, probably, like I said, maybe sometime late April or early May. I'm going to get Sarah and Kelly to come back, and next time we're going to do a live stream, and so
Yes.
we will just talk about this whole franchise, some of the things we love about it, some of the things we don't like. We'll rank all 4 movies. I don't think it's going to be too hard to figure out that ranking for any of us, probably, but and just share some other thoughts. So, and then I believe, if I'm correct from what we talked about before, then y'all are going to come back again, and we're going to go through the Final Destination franchise. So I'm looking forward
Yes.
to that. That'll be fun as
Me
well.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Sarah. Before we get off here, go ahead and take a minute again to talk about your channel and things that you guys have coming up.
Of course. Thank you for having me again, Sean.
Oh,
Like I said,
absolutely.
this is one of my favorite shows to come on,
I
and it's
appreciate that.
always so much fun talking to you. I know we both have, similar backgrounds with things and,
Yeah,
stories, and I
right.
just really appreciate that about you and talking with those layers.
Yeah,
It's always cathartic, but also it's kind of it's fun.
yeah, I agree.
So thank you for having me again. And I know Kelly was here in spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we are Final Girls podcast, and we're on all the streaming platforms, but there's a few podcasts with the words Final Girls in them. So if you can't find us on any of them, our website is final-girls.com. All the links are there. Our Instagram is Final Girls, the podcast. Our Blue Sky is Final Girls podcast. And yeah, every Wednesday we come out with a new episode about a new Final Girl. And we got some really fun ones coming up. We are going to eventually cover Sydney in the next couple months. So
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
we're planning on it. But
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that because I've said multiple times my favorite 2 Final Girls are Sydney Prescott and Julie James.
yes, yep,
Scream, which I
yep,
know that you did last summer.
yep.
I really like those. So, yes, definitely go check out the Final Girls podcast. So much fun to listen to each week, and become a Patreon. Give them the support and the love. It's yeah, really good stuff. So go give them a
Thank
follow
you.
for sure, and follow them on social media. I'll be back in a couple of days with Aaron from A&B Horror Movies. We're going to be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. He's going through that franchise with me, and so we're getting to the second one, so that'll be coming in just a couple of days. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Follow me on social media. I'm on pretty much everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X, yeah, all of it. So leave me some comments. Let Sarah and I know what you think about this movie. Do you think it's as ridiculous as we do? And yeah, Sarah, once again, so much fun as always. Thank you
Yes,
again. I
thank
love it every
you.
time you're on. So yes, hope Kelly gets to feeling better,
Yes.
and look forward to her coming back for the live. So thank
Mhm.
you again. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you soon.